I will start.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Now we're ready to go. Steph, Commissioner Steph is here.
John.
John.
Mr. Sheldon.
Over here on Zoom, who do we have present today?
Commissioner Greeno.
Commissioner Greeno,
Commissioner Michael Vincent,
Commissioner Christine Ortiz.
and we have Alder Hutchinson here on the table as well. So now that do we do a motion?
Yes, we motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, there we go. Do I say the nay still? Nobody said
Yeah,
nay.
I think you do.
All right, what do I gotta say there? It's my first time doing
It's
this.
all right. Anyone, I was just saying, and anyone opposed?
Anyone opposed?
There we
I'm
go.
the one who said nay last time, remember? All right. So moving for approval of minutes,
So move. Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed say nay. No nays. So moving on to regular business, do I have to do a motion to start this?
Nope, so it's informational only.
Okay.
We have Tony Snell from the city of Milwaukee here to present.
All right, Tony, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Tony Snell Rodriguez. My pronouns are he and him, and it's my pleasure to join you today from the city of Milwaukee. I'm going to share my screen, and I have a few slides here that I'm going to run through. If I could, let's see. If you could enable me as a co-host, I think I'll be able to do this. It's not allowing yet. I won't run away with the show. I do this enough on my end here, so
Are you able to share right now?
let's check. Yeah, sure am. All right. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Again, thank you for letting me join you today. I'm excited that we can both have a conversation. It's important that we engage as peer organizations across the state, because as you well know, that there is so much happening. It's important to have that collective energy, synergy, and then I think we'll be able to do more to influence good across the state for everyone, and to support each other in each of our municipalities, and to serve as resources, which is vitally important in reaching out to each other. And somewhat of what we're doing today is exchanging ideas, exchanging thoughts this way, and hopefully we'll continue to do this on a regular basis. First, I'll move into who we are as a commission. And again, there are commissions like this, boards throughout the state at different municipalities, all working with similar intention and missions and ideas and thought, but in different manners and different ways. The RC in the city of Milwaukee Rights Commission is a group of community leaders appointed by the mayor, and who work with our residents to make Milwaukee more equitable and free from discrimination. And who we are, again, we're city-led commission focused on equity and civil rights issues in the city government and in the city as a whole. 11 members are appointed by the mayor, confirmed by Common Council. We're aligned with the Office of Equity and Inclusion, which is a part of the Department of Administration, and we're supported by its staff. We have one staff member who's solely dedicated to the work of the commission, an equal rights specialist. These are the current members. We have openings, and we're looking to fill those. Within the last 79 years, the RC has only had its current name. We've been around for 79 years. We've had our current name for 29 years. And what happened is the agency has evolved its names, its policies, its initiatives and missions based on the times and what was going on. At the very beginning in 1944, the mayor established the Mayor's Committee on Interracial Relations. You can imagine what was occurring in Milwaukee in 1944 and across the country. Then it transitioned to the Committee on Human Relations and the Mayor's Commission on Human Rights. So, and then again, the Milwaukee Commission on Human Rights, citywide, and not just out of the mayor's office. And then Neighborhood and Community Relations, key in 1990, coming off somewhat of the 80s, the Fair Housing and Employment Commission, because those were two areas that were vitally important at the time. And then in 94, ultimately, the ERC. And we've remained with this name. And although I think that our initiatives have changed, our mission has changed over the years, and rightly so. And it's going to continue to do that to reflect the need of our residents, our visitors, people who work here, people who do business here, all throughout. We partner with a myriad of organizations, and I'm sure you're familiar with the likes of the Fair Housing Council. The county has a Human Rights Commission, and we partner with them on an annual event, actually a Human Rights Day event, along with the UN Association of Milwaukee and many more. I think our strength comes from our partnerships and collaborations, and always try to think about who you can talk to, who could bring the expertise to the table, who also could bring resources to the table, and having this consistent communication. What is the ERC's mission? The mission of the ERC is to promote and protect equality, equity, and human rights through education, enforcement, and community engagement. I think key to that is that community engagement again. And out of that, the education. And ultimately, the remedy is enforcement. But you really never want to get there. You'd prefer that complaints be mitigated or in some other way, or conversations, and certainly through education, most importantly. But you have to have a linchpin, I think, an ultimate, a remedy for people maybe to pay attention and listen and do the right thing. They should be doing it for the right reasons, obviously, not because of the law. But you need that. Our guiding star, North Star, guiding principles are in Chapter 109 of the Equal Rights Commission. It's quite a lengthy ordinance. Everything we do, I think, is centered, is centered and tethered to this particular ordinance. Chapter 109 prohibits discrimination based on several characteristics. Many you know that are covered perhaps by the federal and state governments, but we have more and beyond. For example, hairstyles, something we've advocated for, and providing that protection here in the city, along with we have those with HIV to be protected, homeless individuals protected, military families and veterans, offering them protection. So we apply this law to more than the federal and state counterparts. It applies to housing, employment, and places of accommodation, and residents, employers, business owners, visitors, or employees. Obviously, the action has to take place within the city limits. We take civil rights complaints. We're working on that right now. We're reworking our ordinance so that we can adjust it to state law, and so that we can better adjudicate and investigate the complaints. We only take complaints based on those violations of protected classes that are not covered by the state or federal government. And that's a patchwork, and it changes every day. Well, often, depending on what the Supreme Court says, or a federal court, or a rule, or a state court. For example, you may have an area of protections in employment with one protected class, but it's not covered under public doesn't cover public accommodation, and that's where we come in. Many of ours are in public accommodation. HUD may offer some, obviously, protections in housing. So you have to find the agency, who's EEOC, state office, and most of the time, anything that would come in would be referred. And I think it's important to track the referrals too, because you see what's happening in your city. maybe going to the state or the federal government for adjudication. People trust local folks. They trust their neighbors. Sometimes it's daunting when you're going before the state or federal government. So if there's some way you can have a conversation, first of all, with somebody on the ground that lives down the street from them or within the same city, they tend to have, I think, a better relationship and an understanding and feel a little bit better about pursuing a remedy through one of those other agencies. And then we look at whatever's happening today and make recommendations on expanding the legal provisions of Chapter 109 as necessary. Community collaborations, again, it's solving problems together. We've been in the forefront of racism as a public health crisis. It started with Milwaukee County in the city, and we're a part of that particular ordinance in the city as the agency of accountability. It's primarily in the health department, but we bring the health department in. We had, I believe, 8 members of the health department, from the commissioner on to the different departments, walk through the entire program, what's happening, give us the updates, and what we can do to help support their endeavors, whether it's leveraging any kind of influence, helping change laws or policies, which are important. But we're a team here. LGBTQ rainbow crosswalks, you know, there's all kinds of laws, whether a state, whether it's a state-owned street or federal, as to what you can do and what you can't do. And what we found here in the city was it was never done for so many years because they just didn't know how to follow through with it and put a policy in place. We were able to work with our Department of Public Works, community members and agencies and organizations, and find a policy that worked. And not only did we paint these rainbow crosswalks, it was a policy for other groups and community organizations to be able to do what represents their best, them best, and what they would want to do. And it's out there and it's working. Folks are creating art in our public spaces, in our streets, to reflect who they are as communities. We had an AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander, hearing after COVID to talk about the essential needs. And what we found there was communication was so vital and important from their city and from community organizations. And we prepared a final report that went to the mayor and to the Common Council with recommendations. And we're hoping to include another protected class regarding language. And that should be forthcoming in the next year. But things started there. We advocated for CEDAW, that's the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. It's out of the UN. They were looking at municipalities and governments and states to sign on. And it became a resolution. And in that resolution from Common Council, required an annual report on this particular, on discrimination against women to be then tendered to the Common Council on an annual basis from the ERC. Adaptive bicycles, that's another one. We work with the Department of Public Works, the Office of Disabilities, or the Commission on Disabilities for the county, actually filed a complaint with our organization, our agency, because there were not accessible bikes in the shared bike program. Instead of going through with that, we pulled everyone together, including DPW, and we were able to find the money and the wherewithal and the resources. And it was a beautiful thing. It's still a beautiful thing. So you can actually, these bikes will fit into the shared bike system, and you can use it throughout the city and throughout the network. I thought that was incredible. Inclusive restrooms, that's required in all new and renovated city buildings. Working again with DPW, and that's moving forward. Our next step would have more conversations about including that provision for any new developments that are private, but still within the city. But I think it set an example. The Fiserv Forum where the Bucks play, it's gratifying to see those restrooms there. The expanded convention center They're redoing the convention center, including them there. So if you set an example and you're working, you talk the talk, people listen, and people then do it for the right reasons. And I think that's important too. How many protected classes in Chapter 109? Right now we have 19. I have 20 after next year. With the help of the ERC and stakeholders, the city of Milwaukee received a perfect score of 100 for the 5th time in a row on the Human Rights Campaign Municipality Equality Index. Something we championed and advocated for. I know that it was in the 70s when we first started working on it, then moved up to the 90s and now 100. Inclusion is important. Education and equity issues, both in the community and internally with city officials and staff. Some of the examples here are community listening sessions. We haven't done that recently. We need to get back out in our communities. We would join a community organization and set up and actually conduct business, hold a meeting at the very beginning, maybe 30 minutes, and then go into a listening session so we could hear what folks are thinking, feeling, needing in our communities. I think it's important that when you hold these sessions, that you be mindful to provide food. You do it in the evening, and if you can, childcare, if that organization can help with that. But you got to get rid of the barriers. And I talk to the city all the time. We have these budget hearings and community meetings. You've got to make those offerings. Otherwise, you're going to have fewer voices, and you're going to limit your voices. So it's good to have families there. They've been robust. Love to hear what people are saying, and we've been able to enact policies afterwards. Inclusive restroom policy with city staff. I think education is so important there. As in accessibility, we all know, like these bathrooms are accessibility items or policies. They're good for everyone. They're just not designed for one particular group. They're designed for everyone. Whether it's an accessible path to our beach. You see people with strollers and children. You see folks in wheelchairs. You even see skateboarders, or it just allows for more accessibility to the beautiful things that you have, to the resources, the natural, the public resources. Serving on the city's racial and equity leadership team that began as a part of our GARE collaboration, Government Alliance on Racial Equity. I've been serving since the beginning of our racial equity leadership team with members of each department of the city, including the mayor's office. And it began with the mayor, a previous mayor. It continues. We meet regularly, monthly, and we talk about what's happening, what the best practices are, what's not happening, what do we need to do, how we can do it. And we've had some just enormous policies and thoughts and ideas that have come out and shared within departments. And you know, you're in one city, but many times you're still siloed. But by bringing everyone together and hearing what each other's doing or can't do, or how do we get to something that we want to do when we think that there's a barrier and there might be some other ideas. Leverage your resources, your staff, your people in the city, and have these conversations. And the passion, and I think it just elevated everyone's positive attitude and understanding. And it's been an education as well. People coming from all experiences and backgrounds, having real, I'm talking real conversations. And mistakes have been made, and even maybe in the way we say something, but we've learned from it right there. And there's a lot of grace, and I think that's what's important. How is the ERC organized to be effective? Well, you know, that could be a questionable item. Are we effective? How effective are we? I think you just constantly look at that. But we did have a strategic plan, and we put it into effect. And we moved over to the Office of Equity and Inclusion. Oh, well, that was started. It's a new office. We have a chief equity officer in the city, which is wonderful. And we've been working together both internally and then with our external audiences. There are 4 standing committees that we have compliance and enforcement, education and programming, no, education, outreach and programming, and governance. And I think we overlook many times in boards and commissions, we look at the education component, compliance component, and all those committees, but I think governance is vital because you have to keep healthy internally and within our organization. And then we also arranged with the mayor that we were able to recruit and also interview potential candidates, although they can certainly go to the mayor. Ultimately, it's the mayor's decision with the confirmation of Common Council, but it's been a great relationship because we've been able to really talk to folks and then assess our needs and find people that can fill those needs, whether it's legal or human resources or just education, and finding the right people to fit those different areas. Ad hoc committees to address specific items of special interest, accessible bikes, inclusive restrooms. We set up these ad hoc committees, bring people in, have 1 or 2 commissioners help lead that effort, and then come back and to the full commission to leverage or move something forward through Common Council. Committees include commissioners and community members, all of our committees except governance, but they all include community members, and we're thankful for that because we couldn't do the work ourselves alone. Again, here they are, pretty much. Then exactly what we do: address civil rights complaints, the intake, investigation. We're working all through this, by the way. This is a work in progress, and we've been around 80 years. So if you're just getting started, don't feel that you're not moving in the right direction. We're still having these conversations 80 years later. So just keep doing it, keep talking, keep working through it. You might have to find that it's different in different, like you have maybe different mindset within your government, political, community, or what have you. And you may be limited in some ways, but you can always find a way to do your work and to be effective. And you may have to have more conversations. If you have those listening sessions, have them in alder districts and make sure the alders know about it. And then include city departments, spokespeople that make sense there at that meeting. Those community meetings are effective. And I say that that's what's really helps with the relationship internally within the electeds. Conducting hearings, there you go. And they want you to do the work. They want you to do, their phones ring all the time. Electeds are constantly answering and having to talk to folks about issues and situations and helping find remedies. But that's what the Equal Rights Commission or a board is for. So let them know that you're available and you're willing to do the work and rolling up the sleeves. Here's some of our connections. Facebook, I think we have an Insta as well now, Twitter, our email address. So happy to answer any kind of questions, or mine is tsnell@milwaukee.gov. And then our phone number as well. There are members of the community in this picture. There's Alderwoman Zamarripa, Mayor Johnson there, Mayor Barrett there. So different folks coming together, and we're all united to do the good work for the good reasons. So thank you very much for allowing me to be here today. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Yes, thank you so much, Tony, and thank you again for adding us onto your schedule and rescheduling. I apologize for the last meeting. We weren't able to get our technology and meet quorum, but thank you so much for the information that you shared with us today. It's super valuable, and as one of the things that jumped out to me was that you guys have about 70 years of experience compared to us. We have 2 or 3 years. So we are looking to your city as an example on how to move forward with our Equal Rights Commission. And just in case, I wanted to introduce myself again. Joe and I met online briefly a while back, but my name is Terry Yang and I chair for the Green Bay Equal Rights Commission.
And I also want to thank Michael too for we've been having conversations for a while when he first started and talking about just this and that engagement between I know we want to learn from you. You're going to have the next great idea that we want to latch onto, or we need to work together to maybe move some legislation at our capital here in the state and making joint statements and coming together and finding where it's of best value for us to collectively have that voice because there's so much going on. And then we need to maybe team up with our other members throughout the state. And I look forward to maybe one day having a meeting where we could all meet together or a summit. And maybe that's something our friends in Madison can do, Central. And they have a few more resources, I think, too, in their office. So I don't know if you've talked to them yet, but when you do, they're on a whole different level of what they do and have a tremendous amount of resources to back them up. So that's another good one. Anything I can do ever, I'm here for you, and because we're in it together.
Yeah, thank you again, Commissioner Vincent, for connecting us with Tony. That was such a great connection. Do any of the other commissioners have, or Elder Hutchison, do you guys have any comments or anything that jumped out to you in the presentation?
I feel like something that really jumped out to me is that you guys actually, aren't afraid to calling things what they are, getting your hands dirty, even though it's kind of complicated and controversial topics. I feel like that's something that we're starting to try to do here. And, I feel like as long as you're doing it with good intent, I feel like it is a valid perspective and an opinion that has to be, for example, like I saw the inclusive bathrooms, restrooms or whatever, those things, those conversations are so important to have. And I feel like I hope we can get to the point where we are doing that. Like, I'm very proud of the fact that, there was a housing report that was done here, but I see that there's a whole commission about it. So hopefully we can get to the point where we are that detailed and honestly intentional with the work that we do. So thank you so much. I think I'm going to be contacting you for sure.
Well, just one particular item there, just using inclusive restrooms as an example, or adaptive bikes. It sometimes it's not necessarily that people don't want to do something, or maybe they are reluctant to do something. But there are laws, plumbing laws, and all kinds of like street laws when we're working with Department of Public Works or what have you. But if you can go do the research and find the people that can do it and give them a plan and show them that there is a possibility without it being such a hurdle, without it being such an expense, that's another thing. But really, I would say you stand strong for your principle, but make sure to have and develop those strong relationships with your electeds and your departments. And they need to know that they can trust and that you're a reliable asset and that you're experts and that you'll provide them the information they need to make that happen. Because immediately when we're dealing with subject matter, they want to have folks who are experts in that subject. And then if you're not the expert, that's why you have the organizations, Fair Housing Council, whomever, bring them to the table. And Independence First, for example, here to talk about accessibility and why accessible bikes are so important. And once folks start listening and hearing and you develop those relationships and you have that respect back and forth, they know when you're maybe being a little bit forthright, that they know you're doing it for the right reason and principled, and you're not doing it to cause any harm to anyone, but you're trying to do the good and the better, and for them to join you, and then you join them too, and be ready to testify for legislation that maybe an alder is proposing that makes sense, that's within your scope of work, and then reach out and say, hey, we'd like to advocate for that. And I'm often at that table making a statement, answering questions, or providing at least written testimony. And also if you could get out to their districts.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I mean, oops.
And your mayor.
Something that that I really like about what you were, the way you were presenting to us, and how you function as a commission. It seems to me that a core principle is to facilitate communication and to sit people around a table. I mean, I really like your community listening sessions. The fact that you're saying, if you're not the expert, bring the experts to the table. It seems to me that that the way you're operating involves more than just the commission, and I think that sets a really good example for us too.
Absolutely, and I think that goes back to relationships. And then many of our items that I've talked about to a department level, it's been commissioners, a Department of Public Works commissioner brought us in the office, and I requested a meeting and brought the community members in, and we just all sat around and didn't realize all about all of these laws and technicalities that exist, and hands are tied. So let's create good policy. And it was like, we're gonna work together to create the policy. Don't just put the onus on the department or the commissioner and their staff, but how do we work on it together and find some experts? And we were able to do that. And then immediately what we were trying to pursue happened. And then sometimes when you have community members who are overly enthusiastic and vocal about getting something done, you really have to have a conversation about, we understand that, we understand the passion, we understand the need, but this is how we think we can make it work. And this is how maybe you want to facilitate your desire, and we'll help you with that. So, and then changing that way of dialogue, to talk to folks who do this work every single day within the city, and do it with the love of their work. And you know that they're not trying to say no, but you got to help them say yes, including alders and mayors. Same thing. It's nice when they start opening the doors. Yeah.
Hey, Tony, this is John Shelton. I'm a commissioner here. First off, I want to say I really hope we're not still talking about this 80 years from now, because we're gonna have really stalled out, and plus I won't be alive. So, but really want to thank you for being here and presenting this. I have a very specific question. So, as Steph was mentioning, we just put out this report on housing earlier this year, and we're really proud of it. But our commission, as I think is a little different than yours. Like, we can't really hear complaints. And, so I'm wondering two things. Number one, like, if you could tell us a little bit more about like how y'all have like elevated, the issue of inequality in housing with your commission, and then any advice you have for us in terms of being able to help residents in the community when they come to us with complaints, but like we can't actually like hear them in a formal capacity, but like, advice that you have for us in terms of like elevating that so that we can frankly like hold bad landlords accountable and figure out a way to protect our residents and the principle of equality here.
And then I'm just gonna chime in real quick just to kind of add the verbiage to that. So I think we can hear them, but I think we can't investigate and we can't adjudicate things. So
yeah, thank you. That's
yeah,
more accurate.
yes,
Yeah, thanks.
yeah.
Well, I will first of all tell you it's in our ordinance, but is it reality? No. Hearing and adjudicating or investigating at the moment, and we're working. I asked for an opinion from our city attorney, and so we're in the middle of quite a few different things. But again, I wouldn't just put all my weight there. I mean, obviously, when there is a remedy, it tends to maybe underscore the value or the importance of adhering to best practices and laws. When it comes to housing, wow, that is, I think, in our hearts and minds right now, one of the, I would say the the greatest priority that we're going to put, I think, on 2024. That's critical. I think, you know, a home housing is valuable. If you talk, I don't know if you have a Department of Neighborhood Services in Green Bay, who actually license landlords and your larger ones. Well, that's where we found the value of our current administrator, Department of Administration administrator, Preston Cole was the commissioner of neighborhood services some years ago. He was secretary of DNR for the state in between, but he went after the mega landlords who were not updating the housing, who were letting it go, that were infested, and they had monopolies going on. Happy to connect you with that particular work. Of course, again, that's within a department, but that was leadership and someone who could take that on and make a change. When it comes to housing, I want to see your report. We're conducting a disparity report. We're going to be seeing some of that here. So I think when I talked about groups like ours getting together or having some kind of meeting, I think we need to take a topic like this and then just really take a deeper dive as to what we can do around the state to impact this. Because again, you're dealing with federal agencies like HUD, then you're dealing with your housing authorities. And we just had a report about our housing authority that was not in the best light. So one thing in our ordinance, it requires that all departments, subgroups, agencies of the city come before the Equal Rights Commission upon request. And I'm going to be asking for them to come before us at the beginning of the year. And I think maybe if you could do something like that, that would really leverage some authority with the commission. Because when you have, we have the police department come in, we go through the departments or even sub-departments or subgroups within departments, whether it's the budget office, to come, let's talk about equity in the budget. And I think those have been very productive. It's also a time for those particular departments and committees and groups to learn who we are and for us to learn who they are. And we begin to have that relationship. We ask for follow-up. We ask for more materials. We want our questions answered. They don't have to be answered right then and there if you don't have it, but we want follow-up. And then that information can be compiled and produced because, again, 109 in our ordinance also asks that we prepare a report for the mayor and common council annually. And those could be included in that. And I will tell you that, you know, I don't think anyone working within the city wants to have something put in a report where it hasn't been followed up on or there's something better that can be done. So again, with your housing, you've got the housing authority. I'm thinking there, obviously, you have I'm thinking somewhere in one of your departments takes care of licensing landlords. That's where you start looking and looking at those laws and then recommending how to change those laws as a commission. Do the work, form an ad hoc committee, pull it together, see where you've got gaps and where you need to change your law, your ordinances or your body of ordinances, or whether you need to change policy so that departments have more authority to do that kind of work. And that's where you I think, and then always look to whoever chairs that particular committee in your common council, and then members of that particular committee. Our committee of jurisdiction is the JUDLEG committee, Judiciary and Legislation Committee. But of course, there are things that affect other committees. But typically we would go to them with initial language when we want to change particular laws or policies. So that's how you can give your city more authority, but then they're going to have to provide the resources to, I think, enforce that. It doesn't need to be you. It doesn't need to be your board or your commission.
Good question.
Help others do it and work with them, and then find alders that want to co-sign on to it and author and sponsor that legislation. and the mayor.
Quick question, are landlords licensed here? In Green Bay?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Tony,
Not whether businesses aren't,
Businesses, but I don't know about landlords.
not like.
well, the landlord, I mean, if they have a real estate
It's,
company.
we've heard some stories here.
Okay, so that's where you can do work, right there.
Right.
Take a look at what's been done with neighborhood services here, how that licensing, when they come before a license, you know, if they lose a license in the city, then they can't do business in the city. So they don't want to violate, they don't want to violate the law, they don't want to violate ordinances, they don't want to violate the policy. So there's an opening right there.
Yeah, I think there was, in our earlier discussions, there was something along the lines of having, landlords be licensed or whatnot, but. I would love to, you know, invite Tony, to connect with John, Commissioner Shelton. Cause he's kind of, he kindly volunteered his time to be the representative from our commission to work on housing. So if you guys can connect and further discuss, some of the ideas, in detail, that would be great.
I volunteered for the next 80 years, so. Yeah, let's keep this conversation going for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then you can start having conversations with members of your city, your allies there, and who's willing to do the work. But again, like you said, do the research first and see what's possible. There is an association, by the way, the International Association of Human Rights Organizations that has an annual meeting, and they do a lot of trainings, and it's peers from all over the country that come together, and it's good to attend, and then you'll learn from each other, and then there are resources throughout the year, so best practices. How are we tackling this? And I know housing was I couldn't attend this past meeting in August. It's in August usually. I was unable to attend, and we didn't have a staff member in place. We were hiring at the time, but I would highly recommend that. And then housing was the topic there, and I think it will always be the topic.
I would love to attend something like that. That'd be great. Thank you so much for the information and the intel.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, this is Michael. It's good to see you. Thank you
Good to
for
see you.
being here. I'm curious for how the Milwaukee ERC potentially thinks about its role as a convener or facilitator of community conversation, particularly when there are emerging issues or current events or developments that are contentious. Even things that may be happening outside of the city limits, but that are impacting residents of the city. You can think of potentially what transpired in Racine a couple of years ago, or what's happening this week. We're all watching unfold in Israel and Gaza. How does the commission think about serving the community in those moments?
Well, in many different ways. I also think about what's happening with the trans bans legislation that's going on. We signed on to a statement. So signing on to particular statements, signing on to or giving testimony, and sending testimony, or being present and providing testimony where you feel that it would, I guess, leverage a positive outcome. Those are kind of conversations too that you might want to have. We have with part of the Department of Administration has the government interrelations team, or lobbyists per se, with state government, federal government, and we have conversations with them where we would like to see the city advocate or weigh in on something, or ask your mayor to weigh in on something. And again, it's not only you. Leverage that with others, and we have done that on several occasions. I'll send a message over and ask for that. Again, you have to have that other conversation is what impact would it have, coming from Milwaukee or Madison. I use those two because in some ways, in the political dynamic, it might not serve a greater purpose. In the past, when we've had issues with anti-Semitism and the violence, and in here where people were murdered, not here in Milwaukee, but when the murder happened in the synagogue, I stopped by our Jewish Federation Center and just walked in and paid my condolences and support on behalf of the commission. Or I've written a note, or I've made a call and told them we're here for you. If there is anything we can do, and then makes public statements via our social media or press releases to support. I think that's also important. And that's a great reminder, Michael, because I'm going to step down. I'm not far right now, maybe tomorrow, and knock on their door and let them know that, and then we work with all facets, whether it's Muslim women here. I mean, the group, they face so much hostility and threats, and we hear that, or if we see that, our Sikh neighbors. I've just reached out, our Hmong community, API community, just making a call or showing up. A couple commissioners walking into a door and just saying, we're here for you. And then they begin to learn who you are, and you learn who they are. And then you come up with a meeting or somehow that we can participate in a dialogue or a listening session. And we've actually included many of these groups I just spoke of in our annual UN Human Rights Day, which is around December 10th. We always do it on that Saturday. And it's always a community function. Hundreds of people show up, and we have these exact conversations and people sharing stories and experiences, and we are the conveners. Again, whenever you can possibly convene, don't overthink it. Just bringing a few people together in a room or just stopping by, and then it will transcend into something greater.
That's
But
very
always
helpful.
keep that top of mind. We can't ever do enough. I can never keep up with everything. So I don't know how your system or your protocols work for your commission on how a statement comes out or a social media comment. With us, it doesn't take an entire commission. The chair can do it. But as chair, I consult. And if I feel that, because you have to move quickly sometimes. Like you said, if something happening, you have to react, or you make the contact. So I usually consult my vice chair, and then we have a communications committee. So typically it's communications, so the communications chair. And if we're all in, or if it's something over the weekend and I really feel that there's no way that our commission is not going to deny not saying something, then I'll just do it, and I'll immediately copy them and let them know we're gonna say something, or we're gonna do something, or I just may do it on my own and step out and knock on a door.
This is Jim Hutchison. I'm an alder in the city, but I'm also a member of commission. I appreciate your last statement, because this commission, because we're so young, and because the council, I think, by and large, they still want to have a hold of what the commission does, because I have a sense they're afraid of the commission having too much power. So the notion of a statement coming from this commission that doesn't go through the council, I don't think we're there yet. But I love the fact you can do it, because now we know you can do it. Okay, and it's not abnormal. And I think we have to, as a commission, these commission members, by the way, are awesome in Green Bay. They're intelligent, they're smart. I've learned so much by listening to simple comments from them. So we're still feeling around as to what we can do and what others have done. So what you just said tells us a lot. And our next item just is the we have a plan to go and inform our citizens of our commission. Okay, which I think is very important, because I think we may have to go from the ground up versus going from the up down to get approvals and loosening of grips and that type of thing. So I think what you just said, and your whole the fact you guys have been working 70 years, 80 years, it's good, and you're having to still educate people. Okay, so that makes us feel good. Me feel good that we're starting the education in a sense. We have a long road to hoe. But we also have a very diverse community. So it's well warranted. So appreciate your comments.
Yeah, so thank you, Alderman, and I really appreciate your work and your service and having the dual role that you've been willing to step into and serve. I think that also helps the commission. Our Board of Health here, for example, is a rather new board. My husband serves on that board, but it is an alder on that board. So that really, I think, elevates and amplifies the work that they do. Yes, we've been around 80 years, you too, but think about it, you have 78 years of opportunity ahead. And that's what you look toward. And again, I think it's relationships with your, our DOA director or our chief equity officer, I share any kind of statements that I think would come out that maybe would need a second look. And you create that relationship. I don't think I would ever release something, but again, that's relationship. I would never release something that it would catch somebody off guard. Mine that I may be releasing a little more quickly is like, it's Hispanic Heritage Month and we're supporting this, but make sure we're getting that out there, right? And you don't have to go through all of the votes and you have it on your social media. And then if it's a particular statement that requires more sensitivity, I do share that with, and they don't have to approve it, but I also like getting the feedback. And they might say, hey, throw this in there too, or you might want to include this, or I'm gonna have the mayor's office be made aware of that. That you're, I'll share it with the president of Common Council, particular chair, particular council person, alder person that may be in their district. So I think when you start having your conversations and build those relationships with folks, there's a sense of trust that comes out of that, and never catch anybody off guard. Always be forthright with folks and honest. Let them know things in advance, and watch what you write and the words and what you say. It doesn't mean you have to compromise your beliefs or your principles in any way. But be mindful of how you say it, because you are representing a broader organization in an entire city. I got it right behind me here, City of Milwaukee. This is Equal Rights Commission. But what people see is this part up here. So every day when I do the work I do, I remember that I represent an entire city, and not only the alders and the mayor, but all the residents that are here. And I want to represent them in a way that they can actually embrace, and then they trust us. But you've got to be able to respond too, because what's going to happen is residents they're going to see there's a commission, but they're not speaking for us, and they didn't say anything about it. And I get that too, because we can't answer everything, and we really can't. But you got to do as much as you can, and you've got to be out there, because they're going to hold you accountable, because ultimately you're accountable to the people. And I hope that the electeds understand that you take this job very seriously. You take this position very seriously. You're a volunteer. You're not here for any other reason it's because of the work you do and passion. And you don't want to wreck your reputation. And you certainly don't want to do that to the city. I think over time, like you said, it's been a couple of years. But I'll tell you, we've been around 80 years, and it's ebbed and flowed and changed depending on who's in here or who's in these positions. But again, having that immediate relationship, and being able to, I can pick up my phone and text I think almost every alder. And if I need to, and I get texts from them. So Tony, did you hear this and what's going on? And can you help support this? So once you start doing that, I think they'll feel better about it. You'll feel better about it. Alder, you have a different perspective, obviously. And I understand where they're coming from too. Again, it's this, and it's all the people that live here. And they're just looking out for the people too, mostly, I would think.
All right, well, does anyone else have any other questions, comments? To add to this conversation? Again, thank you so much, Tony, for giving up some of your day to be here with us and sharing a lot of good information. That'll be available. This is gonna be, or this is recorded, so that'll be available on our on the ERC YouTube. So we can always refer back to that. And again, I'd love for Tony and John to stay connected to share a little bit more about the housing details and ideas. And then Tony, I believe you said that you wanted to see our housing report. So if Joey can share that with him, that'd be wonderful.
John, want me to include you on?
Sure, yeah, we're great.
But again, thank you so much, Tony, and I really appreciate all the information you shared with us. It's gonna be really useful as we move forward.
Grateful to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.
Bye, we'll see you later. Sorry.
Thanks.
I think just a motion probably receive and place in file. Or like this is informational, we don't need a motion.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so then we're gonna move on to number 2.
Yep.
So that we're gonna ask a motion to approve the Visibility Initiative Strategic Action Plan.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Hi.
All opposed, please say nay. Okay, so that stands approved, and then that'll move forward to be presented to the council.
Do we know when it's gonna be presented?
So I don't anticipate it going next Tuesday. And then in November, we have a meeting scheduled for the 9th, but that is our budget meeting on the 9th. So I don't know if we want to meet on. Oh, sorry. So I think the question was, when is this going to the next common council meeting? I got ahead of myself. It should be going on November 7th. I believe it's in August. So the question I have for this committee is, do we want to meet in November on, because I think the 9th is when we're going to be at our budget meeting. So do we want to meet on the 16th or do we want to meet on the December, I think like 4th, I believe.
You don't want to move on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we could. So we can talk about scheduling later, but it's something for us to think about. So yes, this would go to November 7th, I believe.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thanks for sharing that, Joe.
Yeah.
We'll keep that as a tentative
Can be there.
date. Yes.
So we can all be there.
And then we'll, yeah, before we adjourn, I guess we can talk a little bit more about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, agenda item A, number 3. So this is, the proposal that, Commissioner Greeno proposed, 2 meetings ago, but I'll just read the full statement. So for consideration of possible action on the initiative to install signage that has the city of Green Bay and the language of each culture represented in Green Bay that was held over from August 17th, 2023, Equal Rights Commission meeting. And then I'm gonna invite Commissioner Greeno just to give us a quick little update. He and I met, so.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. We met and we discussed the memo. So our next steps are basically to develop an action plan detailed in regards to like resources, where the potential funding would come from, and then also trying to target different partners that we could work with on the initiative. And so I'm looking to bring this back in November with that first draft for everybody to review and look over and get some feedback from, and then we can kind of move it forward. That's kind of our next steps. So
Thank you, Commissioner Young. All right, so I'm gonna ask for,
Do we have to take action on this?
Probably hold until the next meeting.
yeah.
Or
Okay,
I think that'd be fine, and then if it comes back with an action plan, we can amend.
okay, so I'll ask for a motion to hold until next meeting.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. All right, so we're gonna hold that for the next agenda. Or the next meeting. Okay, so agenda item F, informational chair update. So my updates today really just has to do a lot with like, a lot of different, holidays and, cultural, festivities, I guess. So the first thing that I wanted to do is just kind of acknowledge that October 9th was Indigenous Peoples' Day. And I wanted to invite Commissioner Greeno to give us a land acknowledgement statement.
Boso Mon and Wiok Nagato Manowich Kikitim. Hello everyone. Just like to recognize the land that we're on as the ancestral land of the Omatnomane, or the Menominee, and also future land residential folks of Ho-Chunk and Oneida tribes, and all the other wonderful cultures and diversities that have come to Green Bay. I'd like to acknowledge you and welcome you to the land of the Menominee. And yeah, that's the acknowledgement. Awanan and Ne. Thank you, everyone. That is all.
Thank you, Commissioner Greeno. Next, I wanted to just get a little quick update about how the Hispanic Heritage Month event went. And I'm gonna invite Stephanie to speak on that. But before that, Hispanic Heritage Month is a national month put in place to really recognize the significant contributions that the Hispanic and Latino communities have made in the United States.
So I wanted to update everybody about this amazing event that occurred. It's historic because we had over 20 community leaders from all different kinds of backgrounds, ages, come together for the first time with the intent to put together a festival that was inclusive for people to go, but it was mainly inclusive because the Latino community is very, how can I say, we're different countries. People always like to just assume that it's Mexico, but the reality is that nowadays here in Green Bay, we have presence of El Salvador, we have Honduras, all kinds of different beautiful countries and languages that even though it's Spanish, it is completely different. The dialect and the way that you say it is different. So we wanted to make sure that it encapsulated all of the Hispanic community that is here in Green Bay. And so not only was it community leaders coming together, it was a partnership with the Widener. So that was historic in itself because that has never happened before. And so they let us go there, they hosted it. And we made sure that we had local bands that identified as Latino. We had business owners there that identified as Latino. We really wanted to make it to elevate the Latino community, to showcase the immense talent that exists here. For example, we had an exhibition for art, and it was all Latino artists that live in Green Bay. And so not only was the food that was there, also, you know, all kinds of different Hispanic, Latino cuisine. I think that we did a really good job of also inviting the city to be there. I know that the mayor wasn't able to make it the day of the festival, but the day prior, he was there for ribbon cutting about the art exhibition, which was pretty amazing to see. They actually brought over the artist from Irapuato, who's a sister city of Green Bay, which was also really nice to see that support from the city. And more importantly, I think the thing that got us was that we, maybe being a little humble, we're thinking there was gonna be maybe like, what, 1,000 people? We had 8,000 people there.
Whoa, really?
You know, it was so many people that we have actually are now having like people knocking on our door wanting to invest. And not only just invest, but grow, right? Continue to showcase. And so there was conversations with aldermen about potentially bringing it to the city of Green Bay downtown, which would make sense maybe in the future to do that, right? And so it's really exciting conversations is happening. And more importantly, it wouldn't have been possible without the support of this commission, because they were ready to go and talk. And, you know, plans change. But I am excited that I'm gonna be actually a chair, well, I'm gonna be helping the chair that's gonna be coordinating it. And so you best believe that if everything goes well with the visibility report, we will be there for the next one. So that's all, that just making sure that there's that bridge between the ERC, the city, and the Hispanic community. And so that it continues for years to come with that, and that's my wish. So yeah, that's my update about Estamos Aquí. That's the name of this festival, is we are here,
Thank you so much, Stephanie, and I'm so happy that you guys pulled it off. I know that you guys volunteered
Yep, that was
time,
volunteer,
day
yeah.
and night,
yeah.
you, and then the whole coordinating team.
Yeah, right under Casa Alba, like we were
Casa Alba.
under that umbrella, so I gotta give a shout out to them as well for being that center to bring all these leaders together.
Yep, it was not possible without you guys, so thank you guys for doing that, and I do also want to mention that although there were great positives of this event, we
True.
also have to acknowledge that there's a lot of education and learning that has to happen to make sure that when we're working with marginalized
Yes.
communities or communities of color, that we're making sure that their voices are heard.
Oh, yeah.
adequately. So
Making sure that the voices are heard and that we don't just use it as, because I mean, I feel like my worry now is that now that they see that it's marketable and there's money there, I don't want people to use it as a token, right? I don't want people to use it as, oh, let me just get the Hispanic community to buy and not be meaningful about it. So I'm glad you brought that point up, because there was some moments that it could feel sometimes that is where we're going, but I have hope that that's not the case.
yeah, I think there's positive partnerships that could be created moving forward, so thank you for that. And then again, I'm gonna invite you to kind of share with the whole commission about two things.
Yes.
One with Casa Alba and one of the community members.
Sure.
The issue with the police station, and then secondly was the art organization.
The Sage?
that reached out, yes.
Yeah, so I'll start with the Sage one. Sage reached out and they wanted to just kind of send an invite to the community to know. Because they work together with ADRC and Casa Alba to do this art exhibition. And it literally was amazing because it was for the Latino seniors that exist here. And to be honest with you, there is not a lot of engagement for our seniors in the city. And so I wanted to applaud them, and I wanted to also acknowledge, because she reached out, to just let people know that there is organizations like Casa Alba, ADRC, and Sage that are continuously trying to invite the community to go to their open, they opened the studio so anybody could go. And honestly, me seeing the success of the art that came out of this, I'm hoping that other people reach out to any of these three organizations and get informed on their programming, and most importantly, supporting, right? Because that's something really good that is available to the people of the Green Bay, regardless of, where they come from. But it was kind of nice to see that it was an invitation that normally we don't get to not just, because they also had an exhibition there. So that was pretty cool. Like a lot of these seniors were having to see their art exhibited for the first time. And I think that was awesome. So good job to Stacy and Ileana, who were the artists that put together all of this for the seniors in the Latino community. So thanks for that. And as far as the second item, I think we had a conversation once that we can be that bridge between the people and different departments that we have. As we know, we're not as advanced as far as the authority to bring people, but we can absolutely reach out. And what ended up happening was just hoping it's just a misunderstanding, but there was somebody in the community who went to the police station and they were Spanish speaking. And so what happened was there was not anybody there at the time to be able to communicate with them. And so they were not able to get their complaint across like we would, right? Should we just walk up and, do what we need to do? So I guess I just wanted to reach out and see if there was any way we could maybe get some information back from the Green Bay Police Department. What happens in the case of if somebody who does not speak English has a question or needs something, whether it's that they're walking to the station or even just get a call, what is their processes when there's nobody on call that can translate, right? So it's just a quick, just informational to refresh everybody in the community, and maybe just continue to grow that beautiful partnership between the communities that might not be able to, speak up about it. And obviously our great police force that I know a lot of them they have the greatest intent, but I just think we need to, make sure that they're talking to each other.
Yeah, absolutely, bridging the gap there.
Yep.
Good point. Very valid.
On the what happens when, right? So hopefully we can reach out and get some answers and discuss it in the next meeting.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So next, I just wanted to also highlight that there was an API or Asian American Pacific Islander anti-bullying event that was held at the Hmong Center this past weekend. I wasn't able to attend, but I also want to remind all our folks in the public and who are here that allies are always welcome to attend these events, even though it's held at like an ethnic center or a cultural center. Please feel free to show up, show your support. You can even speak if you wanted to. And then also a reminder that this is also the start of like a lot of different New Year's and celebrations for the Asian American community. So really immerse yourself in those communities and ask questions and learn and educate yourself on it. And then last but not least, I just wanted to bring up, I don't know if we have any community members from that are, I guess, descendants of Israel, but there's certain events that are going on, and I just want to acknowledge that and say that we are in support and in solidarity with them.
And to be honest, I also want to acknowledge that there is a lot of loss as a war, when war is happening, there's loss on both sides. So just, praying and hoping that both sides, Palestinian, Israel, no hurt, no damage for those that are civilians and our kids. And, it's always just praying for the loss of civilians.
Innocent lives.
Yes.
Yeah. But with that being said, I don't have anything else for my chair updates. I do want to ask commissioners if you guys have any last remarks. Otherwise, we're going to go on and talk about our next meeting. All right, so Joe, you listed the 14th or the 16th for.
So it would be the 16th, November 16th, and then I'm not sure what the second Thursday in December is. I believe that's 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So November 16th, and then December the second Thursday is the 14th.
So we have the 14th for sure on the calendar. The problem is the second Thursday in November is when we have our budget meeting. So that kind of got scheduled on each other. So the question is, do you want to move the meeting to November 16th? So that's something for, you can answer right now, or we can schedule out offline.
I think the majority of the commissioners here, so I think we should just decide on that right now.
I wouldn't be able to make that, but I don't have to be there.
For the 14th, I can.
16.
Oh, yeah, I can be
November
there.
16th.
Yeah.
So it's the third Thursday of November 16th.
Let's do it.
Commissioners online, can you guys help us understand your availability? So November 16th, would that work for everyone or not work for anyone?
It will work
But-
for me.
It should be good for me.
I will not be able to be there on the 16th.
So we won't have.
Well, can you make it?
Oh, wait, am I?
1, 2, 3, 4. Because we'd have 5. if people say-
Oh, yeah, I didn't count myself.
It's okay.
Okay. Okay, so I think what we'll do is move forward with the 16th.
Okay, yeah. I'll send them.
Yeah, we'll move forward with the 16th for our meeting, and then everyone please look out for an invitation from Joe for that. But before we also leave, I do want to make sure that the visibility initiative report, I will be present to share a little bit about that. And so Stephanie and I will discuss how to move forward, and we will send out an email to the commissioners if you guys would like to join us that day when it's being presented to Common Council. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, well, that is the last thing on my list, so I would ask for a motion to adjourn unless anyone else has this.
Rena, what's that motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, meeting is adjourned.